You're live.
Good post-Sabbath penumbra, Summa scholars. Welcome to the Daily Summa. Today is Sunday, March 23rd, the third week of Lent. Are you already gone, Joe? He's gone. Guys, well, I hear you in there, Joe. But you can't stick around. Ladies and gentlemen, sadly, Joe can't stick around. He has obligations of storytelling with friends. And it's sad, but we'll muddle through somehow. Today's a very beautiful page, and there's some beautiful little moments in it. It will probably go relatively quickly, though, in as much as there won't be a great deal of initial banter. There's a lot I could say. Had a very beautiful day. Got to have a wonderful conversation with Mother Natalia, and got to have beautiful divine liturgy. And got to have a big fat wonderful nap, as is apropos of Sunday. A lot of deep rest taking place. So it's been a really good day. Oh, I have my post Sabbath penumbra bourbon as well. Evan Williams. Cheers to everyone. He is risen. And here we are at the third week of Lent. We will not be moving the skull around, so we don't need Joe to do that. We'll do that tomorrow as we make our way through this desert. Fortunately, in this particular desert, we have a weekly respite under the palm trees with the 12 fountains of water called Shabbat, little Sabbath rest in the midst of it. But I say, and since I'm the one both captaining the ship and also navigating right now, I say that we head out in this galleon along with Larry, Ralph, and the boys, and just get moving on this page. And I'll show you a couple of the beautiful little things that we have coming up, especially towards the end of the page. So here we go. Daily Summa on Sunday evening, third week of Lent. I think it's 2025. Page 109. Up at the top, let's get going, everybody. He who possesses the more charity will see God the more perfectly and will be the more beatified. That is the continuation of the I answer that portion of will see more perfectly than another? Will you see more perfectly than another the beatific vision? And do not forget that the answer is yes. It's funny, when you tell a kid you should do well in school so you can get a good college, which of course that's arguable. The kid may desire to be a mechanic or something, but let's say he's wanting to do something collegey. He wants to be a doctor, whatever, I don't know. And you tell him, well, you need to do good in school. Some get it, some don't. The further something is away, the less emotional impact it has on you. And the beatific vision just seems, I'm assuming for the average person, unless you want to be like very holy about it. No, I think of the beatific vision every time I wake up in the morning. That's my whole goal of life. I desire to be a saint. Good for you. But I'm just saying, watch how your emotions are around the beatific vision and what keeps you away from it, and then what your emotions are around getting a snack or something, or somebody cutting you off in traffic. You'll probably see that your emotions are much more intense regarding the clear and present danger or clear and present benefit. But be advised that when the day arrives, you may have a different emotional impact on realizing that you have less of the beatific vision due to choices we make in this world. Let us keep that in mind. Let's be realistic around here, being that realism is one of the great tenets of Thomism. Moving on to reply to objection 1. In the words, we shall see him as he is, the conjunction as determines the mode. Thomas is busting out in an English lesson here with Larry. He started with an English lesson talking about metaphors, and now he's going back to an English lesson. In the words, we shall see him as he is, the conjunction as determines the mode of vision on the part of the object seen. Mike Elias will probably ask about the word object there. It's good. We'll have the discussions around over cigar at the lounge. as determines the mode of vision on the part of the object seen, so that the meaning is we shall see him as he is, because we shall see his existence, which is his essence. But it does not determine the mode of vision on the part of the one seeing, as if the meaning was that the mode of seeing God will be as perfect as is the perfect mode of God's existence. He's reiterating what is being said. The term as, we shall see him as he is, Larry was trying to make the point that there can't be different levels in heaven of the beatific vision because we shall see him as he is. Excuse me. And Thomas is saying the as isn't referred to the essence itself, but the as is referred to the essence itself. But each person will see it according to their mode or capacity. And that goes back to the example I use and love to use of different people entering into a concert hall and hearing Lisa de la Roche play Mozart's 23rd piano concerto. Each will hear the same thing. We will hear it as it is. You will hear that piano concerto as it is, but each will receive it, and there will be different amounts of pleasure for each person according to their mode of apprehension. Remember, that which is contained by the mode of the container. Thus, and he's going to just hit objection 2, saying that it applies to what he just said applies to objection 2. And we got a cool little et per hoc here. Thus appears the answer to the second objection. For when it is said that one intellect does not understand one and the same thing better than another, this would be true if referred to the mode of the thing understood, for whoever understands it otherwise than it really is did not truly understand it, but not if referred to the mode of the understanding, for the understanding of one is more perfect than the understanding of another. If everybody's in the same room, but somebody is listening to they have headphones on and they're listening to the concert through the PA, they're going to have a different mode of apprehension. Thomas is saying, sure, if you have different modes of apprehension of the same thing, then there will be different differences. But Thomas is saying that is not the case. What we're talking about is when everyone is on an even playing field, but they do not have the same capacity to apprehend the beautiful symphony that they're hearing. And we will all see the beatific vision. We will see him as he is, but we will not apprehend it in the same mode or way, depending on the kli or the vessel that we create by our choices in this life. And of course, possibly a little, ooh, is my computer dying? My computer's been doing some weird stuff, y'all. I have to tell you. Sampling some wild turkey rare, breed myself. Nice, Steve. I can't normally see that because, but I had to go up and check the screen, and I got to see your reply. And Joe's not here, as you know. But it's good to have you here with me, Steve, having a little drink. He is risen. Can you hear the dog? The dog's starting its early rounds of nightly guard duty, how it earns its keep around here. After this, I go out and pray Vespers with the candle lit in my altar there on the table. I have a white tablecloth for Sabbath spread. I already had my evening meal. Looking forward to a beautiful time of Vespers with this dog yapping in the background. Reply to objection 3, Shimon. The diversity of seeing will not arise on the part of the object seen, for the same object will be presented to all, the essence of God, nor will it arise from the diverse participation of the object seen by different similitudes, because we're not going to see through similitudes. It'll be an immediate apprehension through the refulgence of glory. But it will arise on the part of the diverse faculty of the intellect, not indeed the natural faculty, but the glorified faculty. All right. No need to linger on it. Article 7, and here's where we're running into kind of a beautiful thing in the reply to objection 1. Article 7, whether those who see the essence of God comprehend him. Okay, sure, you can see the essence of God, but do you comprehend what you're seeing? Here comes the objection. Larry, up on deck as we sail in this beaver galleon towards the gloaming of the day, towards the evening. Not many stars out on the galleon tonight. We have an overcast, choppy sea. Not so choppy sea. It's actually very still sea. But we do have an overcast night as we sail into Article 7 of Question 12. Larry says, it seems that those who see the divine essence comprehend God. For the apostle says in Philemon, but I follow after, if I may be any means but I follow after, if I may by any means comprehend. But the apostle did not follow in vain, for he said, I run not as and not as at an uncertainty. The apostle is saying, I'm not running at an uncertainty. I am certain of that which is commonly referred to as God. Therefore, he comprehended. And in the same way, others also, whom he invites to do the same, saying, so run that you may comprehend. I wonder what the word comprehend is in Greek. In Latin, comprehendatus. Ut comprehendatus. I'd be interested to see what the word is in Greek. I did not look that up prior. Let's carry on, and we'll hear his replies to the objection as per normal. Objection 2 from Ralph. Further, Augustine says, that is comprehended which is so seen as a whole, that nothing of it is hidden from the seer. But if God is seen in his essence, he is seen whole, and nothing of him is hidden from the seer, since God is simple. Therefore, whoever sees his essence comprehends him. Ralph is trying to say that if we're going to see the essence, he is simple. And so it must be that we can comprehend it, because we're going to be seeing something very simple. Let's see how Thomas responds to that. We're probably going to have to hear his response to objection 2 tomorrow. So we have a cliffhanger. Be with us bright and early in the morning to hear Thomas's response. And also remember what is being seen when we talk about the essence of God here. The persons of the Trinity, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, 3 persons, one divine essence, one divine and eternal essence. We are on a crash course to behold that. That is, those who avail themselves to it. We're in a crash course to be able to apprehend and see that. But what is that essence? That essence is the eternal. Well, as we've said earlier, we can only speak of what God is not. But what he is not, and that's why Thomas says there's similitudes, and the main similitude used, which is what God is not, but it's a similitude pointing at what the essence is. The premier metaphor, the premier similitude that is used, which is not a verbal metaphor, it's not a historic metaphor, it's a metaphor written deep into our own bodies. And that is the metaphor of husband and wife, and the child that comes to fruition from that union. Somewhere that is intuiting and seeing an essence of God that is eternal in the 3 persons. So again, I always say we're meditating on the presence of God. And I hope you're starting to see the sacredness of what is being talked about here. And again, as I said before, the generosity of, and the trust, if you can use that term, I speak as a man, that God is giving in us, and his vulnerability in sharing with him this most sacred and holy essence. It's a lovely, lovely thing, people. This is why we want to clean our minds, clean our lives bit by bit through all the means the church gives us, so that we might gaze upon this essence without shame. Objection 3. Further, if we say that he is seen as a whole but not wholly, it may be contrarily argued that wholly refers either to the mode of the seer or the mode of the thing seen. But he who sees the essence of God sees him wholly, if the mode of the thing seen is considered. For as much as he sees him as he is, also likewise he sees him wholly, if the mode of the seer is meant. For as much as the intellect will with its full power see the divine essence, therefore all who see the essence of him, or all who see the essence of God, see him wholly. Therefore they comprehend him. He's saying, okay, if you have a glorified intellect and it comprehends this simple whole thing, then it must be that it's comprehending, or you see this thing, you know this thing, it must be that you're comprehending it. But remember, a little preview of coming attractions, knowing is da'at, not yeda. It's not a data point, it's a knowing, as Adam knew his wife Eve. So you can know a woman woman can know her husband and not fully comprehend him. And I know that might be shocking to some of you, that you could know a woman and not comprehend her. Like, you can't comprehend women? Of course you can. But just go with me on it. All right. On the contrary, it is written, O most mighty, great, and powerful, the Lord of hosts is thy name, great in counsel and incomprehensible in thought. Therefore, he cannot be comprehended. Bam, Jeremiah. So that's our argument from authority. Now let's move on to an argument, a rational argument. It is impossible for any created intellect to comprehend God. Yet for the mind to attain to God in some degree is great beatitude, as Augustine says. In proof of this, we must consider that what is comprehended is perfectly known, and that is perfectly known which is known so far as it can be known. Thus, if anything which is capable of scientific demonstration is held only by an opinion resting on a probable proof, it is not comprehended. As for instance, if anyone knows by scientific demonstration that a triangle has 3 angles equal to 2 right angles, he comprehends that truth. Whereas, if anyone accepts it as a probable opinion because some wise man teach it, or most men teach it, he can be said to comprehend the thing itself, because he cannot be said to comprehend the thing itself because he does not attain to the perfect mode of knowledge of which it is intrinsically capable. He still knows the nature of a triangle because he heard other people say it, but he doesn't know it actually. He is intrinsically capable of knowing it in this full experiential way, but he doesn't. And that's true for most of our scientific knowledge. We know the speed of light, but I've never seen it. I mean, kind of believe them. Everybody says it's true. That's why we get such a kick out of laughing at the flat earthers. I've never gotten in a spaceship and went out and looked at the earth and flown around it and go, yeah, it's for sure. But I mean, I'm pretty sure. Okay, so, but no created intellect can attain to what that perfect mode of the knowledge of the divine intellect whereof it is intrinsically capable, which thus appears, everything is knowable according to its actuality, but God, whose being is infinite, as was shown above in question 7, is infinitely knowable. Now, no created intellect can know God infinitely. The problem with comprehending God and knowing God is not that he's too confusing or too, oh, the thing's going out again. It's not that he's too confusing or that he's too hard to understand. It's the exact opposite. He's too simple, and he is eternally comprehensible. And our minds are finite. We don't have the ability to comprehend the infinite. For the created intellect knows the divine essence more or less perfectly in proportion as it receives a greater or lesser light of glory. What creates glory? The glory of the saints is their good works on earth. All things, including doing good works, comes from grace. It's all grace. But each will receive the glory according to his deeds in the flesh. And the glory is the means by which you will see the essence. So that's why you have greater or lesser degrees of apprehension of the beatific vision. Since, therefore, the created light of glory received into any created intellect cannot be infinite, it is clearly impossible for any created intellect to know God in an infinite degree. Hence, it is impossible that it should comprehend God. You will see him as he is, true, but you will not comprehend the fullness of it. We will always be in a state of wonder. All right, let's move on. The reply to objection 1. Thomas trains his eyes upon Larry. Comprehension is twofold. You'll notice a common theme, and think about this in your own life. There's a common theme, and when he starts off his replies, he always starts it off mentioning distinctions. There's 2 different ways of understanding something. We have to make a distinction between this and that kind. Remember, philosophy is a matter of making distinctions. Comprehension is twofold. In one sense, it is taken strictly and properly, according as something is included in the one comprehending, and thus In no way is God comprehended either by intellect or in any other way, for as much as he is infinite and cannot be included in any finite being, so that no finite being can contain him infinitely in the degree of his own infinity. In this sense, we now take comprehension. It's kind of a repetition of what he's already said, of course, but he's just replying to Larry's the sense in which he says, "But I follow after that I may by some means comprehend." He's responding to the scripture references that Larry gave. But in another sense, comprehension is taken more largely as opposed to non-attainment. So he's saying you can see comprehension in a couple ways. One is that you fully grasp the entirety of something, you comprehend it. And another way of saying comprehension is as opposed to not attaining to something at all, as opposed to the void. So he's saying that the apostles are saying they run towards comprehension. I wonder what the etymology of comprehend is. Comprehensio. Compro. Um, compro. I don't know. I'll ponder that. We'll see if we can find something about it. For he who attains to anyone is said to comprehend him when he attains to him. And in this sense, God is comprehended by the blessed, according to the words, I beheld him, and I would not let him, and I will not let him go. That's very touching. That is from the Shir Shirim, as it is in Hebrew, the Song of Solomon. Song of Solomon, chapter 3, verse 4. Saying the comprehension that the apostles are talking about is the kind of comprehension that the beloved, remember, this is just confirming what I've been trying to impress upon you guys, that often when you hear people teach Thomas, they're teaching it, and I hate to use this term all the time, but it's so apt. They're teaching it like a rules lawyer teaches Dungeons and Dragons, like a young teenage boy who's hopped up on masculine thought and has not yet had his heart cracked open by the beauty of feminine experience. And he's looking at the D&D rules. If you don't know how D&D works, it's storytelling with dice. The dice tell you how to make the story go, but you're making up a story as you go along. He doesn't see the story part of it. He just sees the rules, and he's very set on trying to mechanically explain to you how this staircase fits together. And that's how a lot of Thomas teaching is. But remember, Thomas is not just a brilliant philosopher, theologian, he's also a mystic. And a mystic means a lover. And so this is where James Brent's statement comes in yet again. This is a long and drawn out, the Summa Theologica is a long and drawn out meditation on the presence of your lover with you. And so when Thomas wants to drive this home, he refers to the Song of Solomon, the love poetry of the Bible, the erotic poetry of the Bible. Remember also Rabbi Akiva, who is one of the ones of the ancient rabbis who was determining which books would go in the canon. And the argument came up over Shir Shirim, Song of Solomon, whether Song of Solomon should be in the canon. Some of the rabbis said no, because it's erotic love poetry. And Akiva says you don't get it. And Akiva's famous statement is, if the whole Bible is holy, then the Song of Solomon is the holy of holies. If the whole Bible is holy, then the erotic love poetry of the Bible is the holy of holies. This is the apocalypse, the unveiling of the bride. And this is what we're moving towards. So this comprehension of God, don't think of it as, one day I will comprehend God, the rules lawyer, the masculine, fully masculine principle. Of course, obviously, the masculine and the feminine principle must come together to bring about fruition. I'm not knocking the masculine. I'm just saying when it's separated and lopsided, it's humorously annoying, or annoyingly humorous, or just annoying. But Thomas is bringing it very much to the lover and the beloved in the Song of Solomon, where she's been out searching for him all night. They've been separated. She's out searching for him. And then she finds him and she cleaves to him. And it says, I held him and I will not let him go. This is also a reference or there's a hint of that, of the future. It's prophetic in a sense, about Mary Magdalene. When she sees him in the garden after the resurrection, she grasps him and he says, "Do not hold me, because I have not yet ascended to my Father." Realize, just as in the Song of Solomon, that you can't cleave to me. We're not at full consummation yet. This whole game is not over. This whole story has not run its race. As much as you think that I can see, he's saying to Mary, for me, I'll amplify it. He can see that her tears and her desire, and that she will not let him go. And he just wants to, before her heart gets too sunk into this experience and feels like she's finally there and it's all over, he just wants to assure her, don't quite let your heart fully relax, because I have to leave, and this thing isn't completely over. You're going to end up going to Gaul and with your sister and Lazarus and hanging out in France for a while before you pass on, doing some preaching, doing some prayer and meditation. But anyway, I digress a bit, but it's still important to realize what we're doing here. We're talking about sacred things. We're talking about holy things. We're talking about the bridal chamber. Okay? Here we go. In this sense, also, are to be understood the words quoted from the apostle concerning comprehension. And in this way, comprehension is one of the three prerogatives of the soul, not prerogatives, prerogatives of the soul, responding to hope, as vision responds to faith, and fruition responds to charity. There's something very beautiful here. This word prerogative is often used in reference to royalty, that there are certain benefits, prerogatives that the royalty gets, from their station, bestowed on them by their lofty station. They have certain prerogatives, things that they get, boons and benefits. So the use of the word prerogative here is just genius. I don't know if that's fully a Thomas thing or if that's a translator thing. Probably Thomas, but I don't know Latin well enough to determine. Ryan Budd, if you're watching this, please elucidate this a bit in the comments. But Thomas is showing here that us, Goofy, me and you, we will receive prerogatives, royal bestowals. And comprehension is one of the three prerogatives of the soul. Comprehension responds to hope, just as Mary hoped to see him, and when she grasped him, she comprehended him. That's a fulfillment of hope. This thing's going off again. And then what is the next prerogative? What is the next of our royal bestowals that we are receiving, that God has in store for us? The next is vision, responds to faith. We have moved through this life by faith, but one day that faith will be overwhelmed with vision, and we shall see him as he is. And third, just as when the lover and the beloved come together, there is fruition, and fruition responds to charity. We will one day receive the fruition of the vision of God. Everybody, it's a beautiful straw, but it's all straw. And to sit and listen to beautiful words is not enough. You must take it, meditate on it, roll it around in your heart and on your lips as a feast, and let it turn to fire, the fire of contemplation and love. All right, everyone, this is all straw. Go and pray, go and meditate. See you tomorrow, bright and early in the morning. Peace out, everybody. Good to see you, Steve. Have a wonderful night.